signs, you can shop around for the best one that you need. You'll also have to get a highway work permit from this guy over here. Anytime you do work within a highway right of way, you have to get a highway.
It's basically a two-permit process. The first permit has to be through real estate, TUD permit, and that pays you basically your yearly fee to real estate to use the property. The second permit would be to work on the right of way, which is a private work permit, John said. And that's just a one-time permit to allow your vendor to go out on the right of way to work. It guarantees that he has proper insurances in place and to be able to work on state right of way. And it's going to be in our state standard, whatever he erects.
What kind of time frame might be involved with that?
Highway work permits usually 2 to 3 weeks, 2, 3 tops a month, depending on how involved that is. And that's on top of the 2 weeks to real estate.
So basically, we're talking about a six-shaping process, which turns into
Right. One of the characteristics along here on Route 28 is that towns are bypassed. So you have a bunch of towns, a bunch of businesses in a bypass town. So what's the provision for like accumulating the signs so that you don't have a bunch of signs on the highway for individual businesses?
well, the signs that we're talking about, the TOD signs are at the intersections. There are limitations on the numbers of signs that you can have at any particular intersection. It's 4 to, if you're in, say, a four-way intersection, it would be 4 to the right and 4 to the left. It's possible to get what are called ahead signs for businesses that are beyond that intersection, but that only occurs when you have a competing business on the left and right. And then that business, even if it is ahead, still has to be within a 5-mile limitation. Yes, ma'am.
Is the fee annual?
Yes, it's an annual fee, $50 per sign fee, and it's billed, you get an annual bill from
So you could have more than one business on a sign.
on a sign
one
post back and forth.
What's called a sign assembly,
Sign assembly.
right? Which is what's there's examples in there of what is a sign assembly, but each one of those within that, what we call a backer board, and it's shown on the front in color there in blue. It has those are logos. That's what we're discussing that are national registered. McDonald's, Burger King, those are national registered trademarks. Those are different than a TOD has the name of the business on a, in this case, in the Catskills part, it'd be a brown background with white letters. And it's kind of generic, it's just text. But it would have an arrow, and it would probably have so many miles to that business. That's an example. There's an example in that.
That's a little different from our state. Generally, it would be handled with a number of individual sign.
We'll pass this around so you can see it.
Good. I was just going to say there's two in that handout. There's really 2 different kinds of signs. There's logo signs, and logo signs are strictly registered trademarks. McDonald's, Burger King, Marriott Inn, Setco gasoline, things like that. That's not what I think what you're talking about.
Logo signs are not signs for primary reasons.
Right.
Logo signs are the signs that you see on limited access highways.
Right.
Yeah.
No, these are just a text type of sign with no symbol on it.
A lot of our hamlets are turn off of 28 in one direction. Is there a set number of businesses that can be advertised on the assemblage for, is it more than 4, 6 or something for one direction going off the highway?
4
is the max.
What happens if you have, all of these communities have, all their businesses are off the highway, so they all go one direction.
Now, I believe that what department does allow are signs that point to a business district. But as far as individual business names,
Yeah, there are signs that are very generic that some areas use that would say like there's a symbol for gasoline, there's a symbol for food, there's a symbol for lodging, there's a symbol for a handful of things. Those don't have any particular name of business on them. They're just a placard very similar to that big square sign that has the hiker on there, and an arrow directing you. So if you're looking for those services off of a main road, they'd say down this way you can get to those things, but it's not going to name a specific business because there may be 3 or 4 restaurants, 3 or 4 gas stations, and the hierarchy, you'd have every person, every business there is, and some would be going out, and to manage that would be much more than we as a department would want to manage.
When you get to a certain number of people, it becomes something of a safety issue. If you have too many things going on, you can't concentrate on driving and reading over in the center. And unfortunately, there are some places where you can see an abundance of signs. If you drive around the travelers and you pull up there, by the time you even notice the back panel there with all the signs on, you're already past it.
There has been controversy about the signage that was expressed in the scenic byway proposal. And so that language is no different than what we have now, am I correct, under the Catskills State Park. Is that something that you can speak to?
I'm not sure of the question.
I want to,
I was, Bill, can you hit this?
Yeah, I couldn't hear her, so.
Okay.
all
yeah,
right,
it's,
I'll look up, where are you? A lot of controversy has come up about the scenic byway will restrict the signage more than it is now. And it's my understanding that we're under the Catskill State Park law, which is exactly the same thing that the scenic byway signage.
Well, I can speak to the sign law. Not every community on the byway is within the Catskill Park.
Right.
So not all communities are subject to the Catskill Park sign law. But where a stretch of Route 28 falls within the Catskill Park, there's this added layer. This program is still administered by the Department of Transportation in terms of if you want a direct tourist-oriented directional sign. But for proposals that are made for a community within the park, those proposals, after they are initially accepted by DOT, they come over to DEC, and we review them to ensure they're consistent with the Catskill Park sign law. If they are, we approve them from our department's perspective, and they go back to DOT to be issued. And I can provide the details of the sign law in the Catskill Park. I think there are the most critical points for the audience here to understand about the Catskill Park sign law is it limits the number of intersections a business can be from a primary highway to one intersection. So you can't be several intersections away within the Catskill Park and get approval from our department to put a toad on a primary highway. We wouldn't approve that because it wouldn't be consistent with the Catskill Park sign law. And there's a color scheme that you're limited to within the park. And there are a couple different choices for color schemes: black on white, white on green, and yellow on brown. You can use any one of those 3 color schemes that we would approve of. DOT may have additional restrictions.
No, although I'm not really sure about somebody else who can speak to this. Apparently there was a cooperative agreement to allow for different color schemes signed by DEC, DOT at HWA that called for white copy on a brown panel.
Right. That's one of the things I'm going to speak about specifically.
Right. All I can say is that hasn't been reflected in our law or our regulations. So that currently that